Donkey free kick. Most free kicks are about as exciting as watching paint dry on a rainy day. You line up a wall, the goalkeeper braces, and the kicker gently taps it over like everyone's following some invisible script. Then Coventry City showed up in the 1970s and said, "Rules? Never heard of them." Enter the donkey free kick, a move so wild that it made defenders look like they were chasing ghosts. The kicker would wedge the ball between his heels, flick it up into the air, and, here's the insane part, a teammate would run in and smash it straight into the net. It sounds ridiculous, it looks ridiculous, and somehow it worked perfectly. Fans went ballistic. Commentators struggled to even describe what had happened. It was the kind of goal that made you pause, rewind, and then laugh because nobody, not even the referee, knew what to do next. Some called it cheeky, some called it genius, and FIFA eventually called it not allowed because apparently creative genius is now illegal. What makes the donkey free kick so special isn't just the goal itself, it's the mentality behind it. I don't care if this breaks the rules, I'm doing it anyway energy. And honestly, that's why it still makes highlight reels today. Every time you see a player attempt some flair move, part of you is hoping it's that same kind of chaos that forces the rules to evolve. Seal dribble. If you thought defenders had seen it all, meet Kerlon's seal dribble, the move that made grown men question reality. The guy literally took the ball, flicked it onto his forehead, and ran while bouncing it like some kind of circus seal. Bro, there's no defending that. The ball is untouchable, the guy is untouchable, and if you get anywhere near him, you're getting a foul. Imagine trying to tackle someone without touching the ball. You can't, so most defenders ended up either chasing shadows or committing fouls in sheer frustration. And yes, it led to injuries. Diego Rocha Coelho, a defender for Atletico Mineiro, in September 2007, got elbowed in the face all because he dared challenge the human seal. FIFA eventually said enough is enough, banned it, and the seal dribble became a legend. But let's be honest, you can't help but grin thinking about defenders getting absolutely roasted. The seal dribble wasn't just a move, it was a middle finger to conventional football, a demonstration that sometimes skill doesn't care about rules. And speaking of moments that make defenders question reality, that brings us to the Paradinha penalty. The Paradinha, this is what I call a psychological warfare penalty. So, you're lining up for a penalty, and suddenly, the kicker stops mid-run. The keeper lunges, gets frozen, and then the ball calmly rolls into the net. Beautiful, cheeky, and infuriating. This skill originated in Brazil, and it's pure showmanship, confidence, and audacity rolled into one move. But FIFA didn't see it that way. They deemed it unsporting because it messed with the flow of the game. The penalty is supposed to be straightforward, striker versus keeper, not a mental chess match where you pull off some tiny stunt to humiliate someone. Still, there's something hilarious about it. Imagine being a keeper, thinking you know what's coming, and suddenly, boom, you've been duped in front of the whole stadium. And every time Neymar tried it in recent years, officials were there with the rulebook like, "Not today, buddy. The Paradinha is banned, but you can't deny the audacity and the showmanship." Speaking of tricks that get fans talking, let's slide into the rainbow flick. The rainbow flick is the ultimate look-at-me skill, and when done right, it's absolutely brutal for defenders. The way it happens is you flick the ball over your opponent's head and retrieve it on the other side, and suddenly you've turned a mundane dribble into a circus act. It's flashy, audacious, and sometimes just stupid enough to work. But here's the thing, it's incredibly risky, because if you fail, you're exposing yourself like a sitting duck. While it's not officially banned, leagues frown on overuse because, let's face it, football is supposed to be about winning, not making your opponent look like an extra in a YouTube trick video. And yet, you can't help but love it. There's something joyful about watching someone pull it off perfectly, the crowd erupting, the defender sliding past like a cartoon character. And the next banned skill we'll be talking about is the header. Wait, I know. You might think headers are just a normal part of football. After all, who doesn't love a soaring, game-winning header? Well, for younger players, they're now off limits. Across youth leagues in England, headers are banned for kids under 11 and limited for those between 11 and 13. The reason is simple but serious. Repeated impact on young brains can cause long-term damage. Coaches now teach footwork, positioning, and timing first, while the ball is kept firmly at ground level. For these kids, the drama of a perfect header is postponed until their teenage years. Defenders, goalkeepers, and strikers alike have to wait for their chance to launch into the air, but in the meantime, creativity flourishes in other ways. Some of the best tricks, flicks, and low ground finishes are born because kids can't just rely on a headbutt into the net. Next up, we have showboating. Some moves are skillful, some moves are audacious, and then there's full-blown showboating. This is when a player treats the pitch like a stage, flaunting fancy footwork just to humiliate defenders. Think back to Ronaldinho dribbling past half a team with a grin like he just told the stadium, "I own this game." Showboating isn't banned in every league, but referees have started cracking down when it crosses the line into disrespect. The problem isn't the flair, it's the risk. Lose the ball while trying to embarrass someone, and suddenly you're tackled. That's a problem the referee would have to deal with. And honestly, showboating sets the stage for more bizarre skills. If you think footwork is just for scoring, wait until you see what happens when people start bending every possible rule on the pitch, like the flip throw-in, which takes ordinary throw-ins and turns them into full-on aerial assaults. Flip throw-in. Throw-ins are normally boring. You toss the ball, maybe a short pass, back to a teammate. End of story. Then someone invented the flip throw-in, a gymnast's nightmare and a defender's worst fear. You literally run, do a somersault while holding the ball, and fling it like a missile into the box. It's crazy, and it's illegal in some leagues because it often breaks the feet on the ground rule. But when executed perfectly, it's like having a corner kick from a human cannon. Watching defenders scramble to react to a ball launched with the force of a small catapult is endlessly entertaining. And fans can't help but cheer, partly for the skill, and partly because someone finally made a throw-in exciting. Speaking of bending rules, nothing messes with a goalkeeper's head more than the penalty pass, a move that takes penalty taking and turns it into a mind game no one asked for. The penalty pass. The penalty pass is peak audacity. Instead of shooting, one player lightly taps the ball forward, letting a teammate sprint in and finish. It sounds easy and simple, yeah, except that it's pure chaos for the keeper, who suddenly has to read the mind of not one, but two attackers. Johan Cruyff popularised this during the 1982 European Cup, and it instantly divided football fans. And then, decades later, Lionel Messi brought it back. In 2016 against Celta de Vigo, he tapped the penalty sideways for Luis Suarez to run in and score. The crowd went wild, commentators lost their minds, and defenders stood frozen. Some called it disrespectful, others called it genius. But either way, it proved the move could still cause chaos at the very highest level. Is it brilliant? Absolutely. Is it allowed? Technically, yes, but FIFA has frowned on its overuse. The risk is massive, and timing is everything. One hesitation, and you're not just losing the goal, you're looking stupid on international TV. But when it works, it's poetic. And personally, I think football should not just be brute force or routine. This move screams intelligence, style, and a little chaos. And I'm here for all of it. And speaking of chaos, that brings us to running knee lock trapping. This one is the definition of don't try this at home or even on the pitch unless you're insane. The running knee lock trap involves running at full speed, using your knee to trap or halt the ball mid-run, usually in situations where your feet can't reach quickly enough. It looks ridiculous, it's high risk, and it's borderline dangerous for both the player and anyone nearby. Naturally, it got banned in many local leagues for safety reasons, but watching it executed flawlessly is mesmerizing, like a physics-defying stunt that somehow results in perfect control. Okay, that was me glazing. It's a weird move. And speaking of weird moves, our final skill on this list is trapping the ball in your shirt. And here we are at the grand finale, trapping the ball in your shirt. In one of football's most absurd moments, Norwegian midfielder Jan Gunnar Solli actually hid the ball under his shirt during a match for Hammarby in Sweden. Yes, he ran with it tucked under his jersey, trying to control it and confuse the opposition. It's ridiculous, inventive, and completely illegal, and it earned him an immediate yellow card. This move is the perfect way to cap a countdown of banned skills, because it embodies everything that makes these moments so memorable: audacity, creativity, and just sheer craziness. And that's a wrap on the wildest, most absurd, and downright chaotic banned skills football has ever seen. From balls tucked under shirts to seal dribbles, these moves prove that sometimes creativity and audacity are worth breaking the rules for. So, tell me in the comments, which of these moves would you actually try if no one was watching? Also, don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss more insane football videos coming your way.